Yeah, and is a little bit of a risky choice because, again, that wasn't that big stun that I was alluding to.
Right.
That doesn't make their lineup any easier. It's another single target, expensive. You have to wait for his blink dagger. Then he can help out the tiny with his initiation. But difficulty of execution. You both have to hit onto single targets simultaneously. That's kind of a tough bill. It's also into Sniper, into Jakiro. There's going to be a lot of spells on the ground. There's going to be a lot of vision. It's where during the daytime, Infinity have to be so slick with their smokes and their rotations, because otherwise, I don't know how you just walk up to Wildcard's high ground. It's where the Sniper pick, of course, blind, should feel maybe under a little bit more pressure, but is going to be relatively safe if he's all the way back onto the high ground. It's where you have that question of, is a blink dagger enough reach for Sniper? Do we need an
Mm.
actual hero in addition to the blink? It's where heroes like Puck end up becoming extremely valuable into the matchup. But that can't exist anymore because then Infinity don't have a carry, which is something that they desperately need for Parker. And it's why Wildcard ban out those heroes that have more jump in addition to just a blink, that have natural ways to get on the Sniper. So now, what's your gap close going to be, Infinity? That's the real question.
Mm-hmm. Is there an option remaining that isn't going to require something like a blink dagger? Because I could see maybe an attempt to put Parker onto something like a Juggernaut, but then you still need a blink to try and get the Omni onto the Sniper. So, in terms of someone who can just inherently do it, is there someone left in the pool that also gives them the right mix of damage and lockdown to try and find the pick?
That's what I'm thinking of. And Wildcard, they're not playing around. They say that, yeah, we switch it up. This should now be probably your mid Tusk and then your 3 Pango, which still feels pretty all right. And of course, we can
Mm-hmm.
wait until Wildcard actually pick their heroes because, they can still do the opposite as well, even though Tusk 3 has fallen off quite heavily in its popularity, even though paired with the Hoodlink, you've got the nifty combo with maybe tag team, but Tusks don't skill tag team anyway. It's, don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
But really, what is it going to be for Parker? Because I'm still grasping for straws here, hero wise. Again, something natural that's able to jump would be at the top of the list. Or the other side is looking for something to just brute force the game down. I think the easiest hero that I could think of personally is probably the Morph. And yeah, on cue,
Okay.
because that's your hero that can jump in. You don't have that many stuns on Wildcard or guaranteed stuns. And if you close that gap, well, Yuma, you better have a BKB because you've got that hybrid mix of both physical and magic damage that Sniper really doesn't like to play with. And Parker special, right? Easy
Yeah.
for Infinity.
It's a solid pick for them. As you said, wild card, lockdown, maybe not quite there. Damage, also maybe not quite there. And then we come back to the Legion Commander pick, right? Even if you do expend a lot onto that Morphling, you catch him out somehow before the shift starts moving too much. Well, press the attack kind of gets him out. So Infinity really feel like they've pulled back a whole hell of a lot here with these last couple of picks, and you do still have some concerns, I would suppose, with the Leo style Tiny, because if his momentum isn't there, the rest of the lineup suffers, but he won't be solely relied upon to make those plays.
Yeah. And I think that's also where, we'll see what Frank's going to be able to do. Usually Sniper just cheeses the lane, so even though I think he's got the good answer versus the dual breath, it's just Sniper. It's really difficult to shut him down. Maybe a stray arrow from Genek's going to connect, but what I would really hope is that they might even want to just sack Frank. Just put him alone, get this Mirana active. If he is in the mid lane with that Tiny, that is such an easy kill onto Exantic. If the arrow connects, if the toss back is too early, it's where I think really putting pressure on the Tusk is going to pay for itself in this type of game. And then you have to look down the line and you say, okay, there's a Pango who's going to get his level 6. We have to wait for it. I think if you stop up the Tusk right now, that's where Wildcard's game plan might really start to slow. But we'll have to see. And Infinity, keeping the tradition alive, we're paused.
I'm having flashbacks, ET. I don't like it. Every pause we see in this series, it's not their fault at all, but makes me nervous. But I don't know. Hopefully no more updates to Dota today, right? No more coordinator issues, and we just get a quick reconnect and we're back into it. But yeah, always going to have that fear in the back of our minds now for these series. But Leo Style is already reconnecting, and we don't have to think about that anymore.
Yeah, and then we can get our game underway. One that Of course, seed-wise, you'd favor Infinity if you had to bet. Probably put it there, but it's also where I think Wildcard have shown us maybe a little bit more life. I think Infinity have taken bigger losses compared to Wildcard, where I think maybe Game 2 of Wildcard series wasn't the most inspiring, but Game 1 versus EG, they looked like they were kind of able to put up a defense versus the new EG squad. That was a pretty fun game to watch. I think there's definitely some more life for Wildcard to give, even though I think really large in part that was due to Xantic being on his Pugna, but
Mhm.
we'll see. Hopefully not a one-trick pony here, but the Tusk is also something he's played pretty much the entire group stage, so really, the practice is there. Just all about that execution in the game.
And maybe sort of to that point, if you're wild card, going back to the group stage, this matchup was a 1-1 draw, right? So if nothing else, you know that you have the capability of beating this Infinity team because you were able to do it once before in that 1-1 split. So that probably doesn't change if we had odds available. It probably would still favor Infinity based on performance, but from the personal perspective of Wildcard, I don't think they need to be all that intimidated here.
Yeah, and for wild cards, depending on how Infinity play this one out early on, if the real win objective and the only one that's doing anything is Parker, well, we saw the Nouns dismantle that same strategy just last night. It's something that is very telegraphed. You know it's Infinity. You know it's Parker. You know what they're going to try to do. You know that they're going to duck down in front of him to allow this Morphling to get off to the best start as possible. And if Wildcard can kill him or do the noun strat, which is just bully everybody else, then, well, sometimes the game can get too difficult for even Parker to carry.
Well, so here's the thing. We got Leo Style back. He did reconnect. That was, well, maybe a minute ago at this rate, but we don't have the clear from them just yet. So they continue just trying to wait, see what the lag situation looks like for them before they get underway, and hopefully it doesn't take too much longer, but at least everyone's in the server. That is a step in the right direction, but yeah, there we go. Alexo's wondering what's going on here, because it has been a little while, and nobody DC'd again, so we'll see. Alexo wants to play. Does not want to sit in the pause for much longer, which, I mean, fair enough, right? This team, or both of the teams for that matter, did end up having to wait a little while because the previous series obviously had that extra time attached, so it's perfectly understandable that they're just really raring to go at this point.
Yeah, and some back and forth. Yeah, at least saying what's going on would definitely help Infinity's case.
Ooh, wait,
Parker
blue.
is I see. It's everybody blames Parker. He's got to come. Home fire.
Hold up,
Leo
wait a
style.
second. Okay, well, you know what? Now the priorities shift a little bit. Hopefully Leo Style's just joking and maybe Parker's in the bathroom or something, because yeah, if there's a fire in your house, all of a sudden Dota is not important anymore, right? Let's make sure everybody's safe. Then again, we did get baited with the old lightning strike story earlier on in this event, TT, so now I just don't know who to believe.
Everybody's got their own league of issues, but it's okay. Time to go now. Time to get ready. Get this game underway. And, to that same point, you don't want to be too much of a doomer, but Wildcard have Hoodwink versus Morphling. If he's not careful, he can certainly get popped. And, back to being maybe a little bit of a doomer with the Tiny. Waiting to see Tiny actually soar. Actually make those clean games or those clean picks happen. Just hasn't happened yet. So things that Wildcard can certainly abuse, as well as Devi, I think, being on one of his best heroes. This, though, is not how you want to start. Arrow's going to land. Alexo in probably the safest position, though, and I feel like there's going to be a whole lot of nothing here. I don't know if anybody wants to give up their life.
Oh, they are throwing down the shrapnel, so Leo Style is stuck in the engagement, and he will be taken down. The Wildcard get first blood. Devi is going to go down, however. I think Boris will die too, but he de-warded before he dies, so... Well, how do we gauge that one? If you're Wildcard, They pick up first blood. They lose 2 afterwards, but they were able to get the ward kill for some extra gold their way. Relatively even, actually.
Yeah, and then they just walked that one out. More fighting than I expected, just with how that broke away. I thought that after the shrapnels were committed, maybe it was just time for Wildcard to bail, but yeah, they keep the fight
Oh,
going.
I
Yeah,
got the arrow. Does he want to use it? Oh, not enough. Tango was going. The fairy fires popped, so Alexo is going to be able to walk away. Not in the greatest shape ever health-wise, but at least you don't give up another kill. But now, he's just going to go all the way back to base, use his TP scroll. Yeah, he is going back. Okay, even with the courier delivering some regen, he might as well just get the fountain.
yeah, and they swapped the lanes, so they dodge out the Jakiro versus LC that Infinity drafted it for, so maybe get to feel a slightly stronger effect of that dual breath, even though down that bottom lane, Devi is on range group duty. Every single spell he uses needs to make sure that he gets that XP. Cannot afford too many denies that the Morphlings are going to be able to get and going to try for.
Yeah, well, interesting choice for them, but it should get them the most out of their support pick. Now, though, well, now you're sort of looking at Alexo trying to be the one to slow down LC and Mirana, and I'm not really sure how well he is gonna do that. Genic, if he can't find the arrows for initiation, he's just gonna find some creeps, maybe get that ranged control, so no matter what, you were going to be looking at an interesting lane setup, but at least now you don't have the Jakiro entirely wasted.
Yeah, and in the lane that he ends up in, that's the lane that we talked about before. It's just gonna get cheesed by Sniper. If Yuma ever feels like he's under too much pressure, he shrapnels the creep wave, he pushes it in, and then he allows his support to pull. But that's why Genic is already being very obnoxious in that small camp. But no, just a very peaceful start to this game.
Well, after
To the laning stage, I
yeah,
suppose.
we had a little bit of murder before the horn, but since then, relatively calm. A little bit of damage though was being traded back and forth here between Leo Style and Xantic, and I don't know. This will be an interesting one because both of these mid laners are so dependent on just hitting that big combo, but they also both tend to have a little bit more health than your average mid laner, so don't know how many opportunities are really going to come up.
Yeah, and it is slightly a race here. If Xantic can get his level 6 before Leo Style, well, then Xantic has a pretty nice play for the Tiny, but as soon as Leo Style hits level 6, it's too much armor for the Tusks then, in which case Xantic has to pretty much give up on that play outright.
Well, so far, in terms of the experience, Xantic was slightly ahead, but Leo Style has the remnants of this creep wave to catch back up, and yeah, that pretty much leaves them even. So, not a whole lot to move that needle, and well, feels like everybody could just settle down into a very farm-focused early stage here, because, well, hold on, as I say that, Yuma in a little bit of trouble. Does Genic hit with the arrow? Yes, he does, and right on cue, just as I was saying, it's going to slow down. They jump in for the kill, and Genic, pretty good aim. You know, if that misses, then you look a little bit foolish, but instead they find the pick, and Yuma gets set back a little bit here in the early stage.
No, it just moves away, but this is where Wildcard want this quiet early laning stage. You need to wait for their level 6s on most of their heroes. It's where Infinity are probably going to look for more of those early engagements, even though Prada has the Fairy Fire, but goes down. Just takes a little bit too much damage. Parker's in a perfect spot to make this trade happen, though, but as soon as the Dual Breath comes through, then he's going to get harassed up, and then he just has so many heroes he wants to hit, and not enough time.
And then back top, Yuma and Alexo go in on to Frank. He doesn't have any backup now, so... well, it's still a little bit iffy in terms of the damage output, but the Bushwhack connects. They're able to drop some shrapnel, and Legion Commander will get tankier, but for now, not really able to just tank through all of it. Frank quick to TP back in, doesn't miss out on too much time. Genic on the other side is trying to be as annoying as he possibly can. D-ward fight that he will win against Alexo, and see, they need to, yeah, now they need to be careful, because this play is going to be there pretty frequently if they allow themselves to drop that low. You're at half HP, and all of a sudden, an arrow puts you in danger. 2 points up in the overwhelming odds will hit you with a secondary nuke, so yeah. Yuma's at least able to back away, but his support gets punished.
Yeah, again, it's so quick with it. And not the build that we're used to seeing, or at least not Snake King's build. No points up in the Starstorm just yet. He's really wanting that scaling damage coming in from the Sacred Arrow. A very different way to play the Mirana. Of course, the old way, but got phased out a little bit after that CI performance. But yeah, but easy kill, really far up. You see, they do have to dive past most of the creep wave, so Parker maybe loses 2 last hits underneath the tower, but they got what they wanted.
Just kind of strange. Both Parker and Devi were playing on insanely low health, just kind of ignoring the positioning of the supports. And well, we always kind of say, half jokingly, half not, that the CM is kind of the broken hero, but that's the exact play. You just get caught out, the root catches you, and it's a pretty easy pickoff. Speaking of pickoffs, though, it's Xantic. Got to be real careful here. They're going to try and jump in. There's the Yava into the toss, into the arrow. Prada waiting for the frostbite. And they're going to be able to get this one done. It's Xantic. Just didn't know it was coming. They don't have that vision sort of set up along the river, so by the time Boris makes it over, it's kind of too late to help.
Yeah, at least he takes out the Arcane Rune, which forces Leosao to walk all the way towards top, but just a little bit too quick and a little bit too smart of a rotation from Infinity. One that wasn't scouted out either. Just the perfect moment with all the waves pushed in. There was no good place or no good way to tell where those supports were. As Prada on his way back bottom, though, yeah, gets really just chased down all the way back. Play really preempted there by this vision that Boris had just placed, so knew exactly where the CM was walking.
They're at least able to make that play. A little bit of punishment onto the Crystal Maiden. It does mean that your Morphling feels a little bit more comfortable for a sec, but I don't know how much they were going to be able to pressure up the Morphling anyway, so they might just be okay with letting him go about his business. But with that being said, we're settling back into our original laning setup here. That arrow, well, it hits onto Yuma. That's so far underneath the tower, there's really not much they can do to follow it up.
Yeah, no good dive. Genic even getting forced back a little bit, but it's Xantic. He's walked over, but he's been so scouted out. I'd be so surprised if Genic let himself die like this, but will eventually not hit it. Now he's got to go under the tower, and
There's
he will.
The arrow. Okay, hold on. There's the duel. Okay. Thought for a moment maybe the bushwhack would create enough separation, but that's not going to be the case. And Genic, he gets caught, right, quote unquote, but he's able to turn it into a bait. They get a kill, they get a duel win, and now over on the other side of the map, well, Devi is by himself, so they're just going to jump in. The shield crash is giving him just enough reduction. I think he's actually going to live here. Parker would have to wait quite a while for another waveform, and then he wouldn't have a way back out, so they're not going to jump in for it for now, but look at Prada. He knows if he can just get close enough, might be able to pick that kill up, but not going to get the opening.
Yep, walks away. Devi does get greedy, but has a full wave coming in, knowing that this will get him very, very close to that level 6. But Xantic, again, back on the move, is really not farming very much right now. He's just saying, I want to go right now. I've got a DD rune, a huge rune for Tusk, but not hunkering down and getting his max kit before he is on the rotation. Just feels like he's really hoping that this DD is going to carry him, because his spells could do more damage if he just buckled down, but he's trying to get active before the tiny blink, and it's not hitting.
Devi, well, he's pushing a little bit further forward, but he still has to be careful. Prada still hoping to find the angle, but at this point, it's going to go after the pull instead. Actually, not much of a pull, really just a stack, but by this point, it feels like Devi has sort of gotten himself out of the danger zone. He's looking for a fight, though. Rolling Thunder will be committed, but for what exactly? This is not going to go well for him. He's just looking for the TP home. He will make it out, but that looked very strange, and while that goes down, ET, that was another duel into another kill up in the top lane, so I don't know. Decision-making, a little bit questionable there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just felt like he wanted to try some revenge, and maybe if he doesn't get bounced to the other side of that tree, that kill looks more realistic, but it just felt like Devi was dreaming a little bit there. And now, of course, there's no good way for Yuma to defend his tower aside from just shrapneling it out, which certainly works,
Oh,
but
Leo
the
style
vision,
sneaking.
the tree line,
They got the toss, they got the Ava, they get the arrow, and yeah, they can probably guess that there's some vision there now, but the knowledge is a little too late.
yeah, and unfortunately, the word's dead. It's just expired, so Alexa won't even find anything if he does get that sentry up there, but is Tiny's had a real clean early game, cleaner than Exantix, and it's where I think the Tusk has just been a little too easy to read. It's where he's got another very important rune. The haste will surely allow him to maybe take another swing at a support. I don't think the Morphling is really possible at this stage, and look at that. Already level 6 on the Mirana, just now rotates towards bottom, and Boris is in no man's land.
Rada gets the kill. Leo style picks up the assist, so more and more progress towards that early blink, and this build from Parker that you were sort of touching on earlier, he's not finding kills, per se, but it's allowing him so much more aggression on to Devi. As you see, the Pango here really, he just can't do much of anything. There's no adaptive strike, but he hasn't really needed it.
No, and it definitely is a different way to play Morphling. And of course, this was the predominant build. Just got a little bit shifted away just with the efficiency of Adaptive Strike. But this is the farm build. You will farm as fast as you possibly can now, especially with the Falcon Blade. As soon as you get level 10, you can connect your small camp to the medium camp, and then Morphling just hunkers down. As we've seen, Morphlings the entire tournament, they just stay in their lane forever, and that extended laning stage plays out. Infinity are just somehow 5k ahead. As Parker, this is a little bit crazy, but he's trying to force roll, and he should get
Oh
roll,
my
but
god.
Devi, it's not fast enough. He's not quick with the decision making.
Well, I said before, he doesn't have adaptive, so he hasn't really been able to pick up many kills. Finds one there anyway. It may come at a cost, though. Frank is in some trouble elsewhere on the map. A lot of move speed, though, gets him... Well, it gets him kind of further back, but don't know if it's going to be enough to live. But with the way he's dancing, he's bought a lot of time. Genic does come in. He'll at least turn that into a trade, and well, now with Leo Style coming over as well, he's baiting. They want everyone to overcommit here, and there's going to be the jump in. The avalanche comes through. The toss is there. Boris goes down. I think Exantic's going to get to walk away here, unless this arrow connects, but there won't be an arrow.
Yeah, but 12 and a half minute, full phase boots, full blink dagger, full wand on Tiny. That's kind of insane. And now they get to break open this top tower. Leostow just keeps more gold shoved in his face while Parker continues to be the bully bottom. And I think Devi getting shut out of this game is really the most worrying aspect right now. And Parker's just farming their triangle. He's just using their map against them. Because really, there's nobody else to farm the triangle at this point. The sniper is not strong enough to kill Ancients, so might as well be the Morphling. And now you've got to smoke with Leo style if you want to. This Blink Dagger reveal should probably net them a pretty free kill. And even though they see Parker farming, well, there's just no good way to approach. They need to get the Hoodwink and the Tusk onto him before he reacts with the Morph, and that's just not feasible right now. Parker would be too quick with it, so they're not even attempting that type of play.
And Frank now has his Blink Dagger in his inventory as well, so... Man, that explains the 6k net worth lead, I suppose, but they're in such a strong position right now, and you would assume with these dual Blink Daggers picked up that they are going to look to push out, but with the way that they're farming, technically speaking, they don't have to. If the opportunity isn't there, if they feel like they're not going to get it cleanly, they could probably still fall back and keep a farming advantage, but Leo Style's going to make the jump in. Exantic, though, doesn't go down easily. May not go down at all. He's going to snowball his way in, and Frank, does he want to actually do this? He's going to try. Blinks his way forward. Can he get the duel? As of right now, no. Genic is still able to find the snipe out with the arrow, so they do find the kill. I think Genic's going to pay with his life here. The Moonlight Shadow's not doing him a whole lot of good, so it turns into a 2 for 2, but 2 supports on the Infinity side for a support at the core going the other way, but If Frank just gets the blink duel when he wanted to, that looks so much cleaner, but they're going back in. Parker has rotated his way over. They're going to be able to get Yuma first, then the duel onto Devi, and that is a perfect secondary execution. Just when Wildcard thought they could sort of take a breath, lower their shoulders, Infinity make the jump.
You couldn't ask for a better rune for Leo style. The haste just lets him close the gap, lets him disengage as well, and then there's no real save that you can help, and then just way too easy of a connection. And now Boris, they're keeping the pain coming here, and I don't know if this hero walks away. Just max level Frostbite, Prada, scary hero. Now should probably die. He's gonna get double shot. Almost died to the neutrals as well with the shrapnel aggroing that wave, but it's still no aggression onto Parker. It's where maybe after blink on Tusk, you can try to catch him off guard, but if Xanthic is going for this Deso, they are looking to really hope that Infinity makes some mistakes here, because otherwise it's just too expensive. There's not enough net worth. You need to get something useful now. The rest of your lineup is just suffering by not finding any successful plays.
He's got a Manta at 15 minutes. I mean, this is impressive stuff from Parker, and, well, now, how well can you really keep Parker locked down here if you do get the jump onto him? It's not going to be easy. Devi, he's going to try. Comes in, pokes, but there's the bait. The duel comes in. That's, well, it's obvious from our perspective because we can see Frank, maybe not so much from the wildcard side, but if you're Devi, you're kind of kicking yourself because that's not a play where there's going to be a kill. That was just an attempt at harassment that blows up in his face.
Yeah, and it wants to put pressure on. They're the team with the hoodwink. They can kill, but it's where they just don't have enough lockdown behind it. And the problem that I had with Wildcard's draft, that all of that pressure getting put onto your Tusk, it's Antic or nothing at this point. And for now, it's nothing. Again, I really hope this is just him buying a Blink Dagger with him not buying any of the components of this Deso he's got in queue. And then should be some signs of life for Wildcard. But until then, Infinity, they don't need to do anything. And whoa, a little preemptive.
Boys, are we good here? Game will be resumed. A little bit of confusion there, but we're back underway. Not a long pause, but yeah, if you're Wildcard, you got to try and do something here. And Xanthic is pushing his way forward, but again, he doesn't have that blink just yet, so this is not going to be an easy kill. And honestly, I'm not even sure if they know. Well, now they know. Not sure if they knew that Frank was there at the time.
Oh, and then immediately vacates out of that bottom lane. Really good ward coverage, especially during nighttime, but then you look over at top and same level of pressure is getting put on, and then Frank just dives deeper down and we'll just nuke out this wave. I don't think Infinity want to flood their TPs down here unless Frank really starts to get dove, but even then, they have such good control over both mid and top that it feels like a mistake for Frank to be down here any longer. He should probably look to leave on his own volition pretty soon. Doesn't want to give away the tower, but certainly can't afford to let that dive happen, though. It would be pretty nasty, I think, for Infinity to just uproot both their cores to make sure the Legion Commander gets a trade. Now, he's tempting it right now.
Really hanging on for the time being. Bushwhack. Will miss. Frank's going to start pinging things out here, realizing maybe just how many heroes are in the area, and he's actually going to try to jump. They go on to a Xanthic. Prada's going to come in here with the freezing field. I don't think they get the dual win, but they might still find the kill. Yeah, they get two. Alexo and Xanthic both taken down. Ollie tries to retreat, but Parker's able to close the gap, and, well, eventually they do decide. Let's rotate down there. We have the opening, and yeah, Frank doesn't get his win, but that's 3 huge kills that they can now turn into maybe some further objective pressure.
Yeah, and it's the perfect bait from Frank. As soon as that Ice Path's committed and the Bushwhack has already been wasted, then they run out of stuns to stop that Crystal Nova. So Prada just ends up really carrying the fight, doing all the damage. And I think Prada walking down there is what makes that feel a lot better. 2 TPs, you know, you wouldn't want to have everybody just waterfall in, but because of their order and their patience, it pays. And now, well, back in the triangle, Parker's just in front. There's no role for Devi to look for, even though he's pumping it, but he's got a diffusal blade, and that's it. 19 minutes, just Doesn't feel like we've seen all too much from the Pango so far in this game. It's been a real slow start for him. And Xantic does decide to go for the Deso instead of the Blink, so Wildcard still need to walk at their opponents to find any engagement.
This feels so rough for them. I mean, someone has to be the gap closer, and they just don't have that person yet, so yeah, they've just got to find some sort of just straight up initiation, whether it's Xantic or Alexo, or I guess maybe even just straight up rolling Thunder onto somebody, but none of those are high percentage plays to make, and while they're deliberating and trying to push out the bottom wave, Roshan is falling. They are honestly going to get this pretty quickly. I assume Parker, yeah, he's already made the space for it, so he will grab the Aegis, and now if you're Wildcard, you have some decisions to make. They're going to stick around at least long enough to get this tower down bot, so the objective will go their way, but now you were already having trouble finding targets. You're going into 2 lives on the Morphling. It might just be time to kind of duck and run.
Yeah, and Parker really could care less. He's got a full Scotty whenever he wants to buy it up right now. And this does change that target almost primarily onto Frank. You need to find the LC first. If you go for the Tiny, then the LC will be there with the Purge. So you need to find a connection onto that hero specifically. Otherwise, there's no good way for Wildcard to start these fights. And with the advantage that Infinity have, they just immediately push on. 20-minute carts, might as well get damage on the tier 2. And they have to go over the Morphling. Parker's just been way too obnoxious. He knows the lead that he's in. He feels it. And this tier 2's got to go down incredibly quickly. I mean, Glyph is there, but yeah. Don't see why they wouldn't aggressive Glyph, and there it is. And this tier 2 will still most likely fall.
That is going to refresh the Glyph for Wildcard, so I guess they don't give up too much. But they're just getting pushed into a defensive position right now, and between the way that the team fights have gone and the way that the itemization choices are now coming into play, it's not clear that they're going to have the means to just kind of swing things back their way. As Frank sees his opening, he's going to jump in, there's going to be a duel onto Divine Llama, the arrow connects, the duel is won, and the supports are now absolutely stuck in the middle of all of this, and they're going to get cleaned up as well.
Yeah, and even with the break lands onto the LC, just not enough damage. And it still is a very scary sniper game as it's Xantic.
Wait, can he cancel? A little closer than Xantic was comfortable with, but he does get away.
Oh, look at Yuma. Don't get punished, Yuma. Yuma!
Oh, Yuma. Freezing field right in his face. That's the supports killing off the sniper. If you wanted an indication of where we stand in this game, just how one-sided things have become, Mirana and Crystal Maiden should not be able to hunt a sniper. That just should not be possible. Now Devi, this is why I was saying before the rolling, oh my god. The Rolling Thunder by itself isn't a great initiation, and now he's going to die for it. Has Genic missed an arrow? I think maybe he missed one on that first blood play. Other than that, though, he has been on point. His teammates really taking advantage of his connections.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Parker just went into a 1v3, took out the Hoodwink, and then is still on your tower. And now gets Glyph, nearly kills off the entire tier 3. And this was all time that the sniper was only stuck respawning. So you don't get that nasty, long, prolonged tower defense that the sniper wants to play in as Parker dies to a creep. That creep's got a strong sword, but now he will back out.
Well, you know, nobody's perfect. Parker, just a little bit of a mismanagement there, and kind of just assumed either the creep was going to die or wasn't attacking him, but I don't care what point in the game it is, a creep can do 1 point of damage. That's what the Aegis was for. They take the tier 3, they'll back themselves away. Genic, though, gets caught on the back end of that, and he had a little bit of a spree. Killing spree is not crazy, but some extra gold being handed over to the Wildcard side, but they are still just miles and miles behind their opponents right now.
Yeah, there's just too much net worth built up on the cores. And sure, the spells that Wildcard have are almost invaluable as mid.
Oh, man.
He got the disarm, though. Got lucky with the shot, but yeah, the tree, the throw, it's too much damage. and just showing on a wave for a second. They're just so quick with it. This is a little bit of a throw, though. Walks up the high ground, but look at Leo style. The back line has to make sure they escape.
Have a toss hit on a 3, but well, it doesn't really have any further backup beyond that point, so... Well, he's still kind of hanging around. Ace Rune for a few seconds, waiting for his abilities to come back off cooldown while his teammates push in. They're looking to create a distraction, looking to create an opening, although with the way Parker's pushing forward, he might just find the kill and do a Xantic by himself, but he's going to very quickly switch targets, has Leo Stalo along for the ride as they get back onto Yuma. They take him down. They'll finish off Alexo and Yuma. And, well, I guess Boris gets out of there. There's some sort of silver lining, but it isn't enough. You get a good kill there onto Frank. It's nice, but your base is under attack. That's a very lucky proc on the lucky shot, but once it wears off, they're right back in onto the objectives.
Yeah, and Wildcard just die too close to their base. It's completely free. No way they get to fight over this mid-rax, even though Boris is trying to find angles to slow this one up, and Lucky Shot's making him work for it just ever so slightly, but it doesn't feel like it's going to matter. Nice bushwhack from Alexo, but Butterfly done now as well on Parker. Now he's going to get his tanky item, and honestly, a build from ahead where Parker could still die. They catch him on 100% agi, but feels like Parker is already just a little bit too ready for what Wildcard have in terms of their initiation. And Wildcard, well, they would like to smoke. They would like to get out of their base a little bit here, but just feels like there's not enough time right now. There are obs on the Jakiro, but there are also observers on that Mirana, and they are all 5 walking out towards that bottom lane. Very nice scan on the runes, so perhaps assuming that Leo Style is looking there, and they will get maybe an inkling of that, but...
I want to point out, an Aghanim Scepter picked up from Leo Style, so...
Yep.
The Tree Volley comes back in, which a lot of the time we see the core, even the core tinies just kind of say, about picking it up. But, yeah, if this happens, if somebody gets dueled and a Tree Volley comes in, that hero's just dead. Although, Yuma's not dead because nobody followed Frank. They all get sort of preoccupied with the backline, taking out the supports. They do get those supports, but they lose Frank. But Parker doesn't seem to care that his teammate's dead. Gets in, quick and easy kill onto Devi. Yuma is animation canceling assassinate because that's really all he can do right now. He needs to wait for reinforcements to respawn.
Yeah, and it's a little bit cloudy going for tier 4s like this, but they don't know about Exantic's Blank. The Tusk could look for connection there. If him and the Hoodwink can actually jump Parker, that would be their perfect moment, but that's where Parker is also very aware that Hoodwink is a hero to be respected. Don't give Alexa the opening. Sharpshooter does a whole lot of damage, and that is pretty much the only situation in which he could die. So he backs up, goes back to his observer, goes back to the jungle. They need to get in this bottom wave in this last tier 2 tower, but by the time those events transpire, probably has a full Satanic coming on the courier as well.
Yeah, he's just honestly got a stupid amount of net worth right now. So far above anyone else in the game, and...
Oh, and poor Boris.
Not really having a chance. They're going to try and turn this around. There's a buyback from Boris now, but he's already started to attribute shift, and the reinforcements are coming. Prada's going to get in there, throws out the root, looking for the freezing field now as well, and Parker, I mean, he's about as unkillable as it gets. Alexo's going to get taken down here too, and just a mad scramble back into the base, and that's probably the best opportunity that they were going to get. Parker alone for a very long time against pretty much the entirety of your lineup, and they still can't make it happen.
Yeah, just got the shift off, wasn't greedy in the slightest. Oh, even there's a little dodge there. No assassinate lands, but just no greed. Is already shifting by the time he's putting himself into the ice path that Boris had from it before. Of course, Boris did buyback, but I feel like we're on borrowed time here. Satanic is now done. Tree throw, and oh, there goes the Dantic.
Just gets blown up right away. No buyback available. Parker did go pretty far forward for this, though. But he's going to be able to pop the Satanic. The duel comes in as Frank blinks forward, and Yuma is dead. He does have buyback, but his teammates are just getting pushed into their fountain. Alexo goes down. There's the Tree Volley. And there's the GG. Yeah, when you're getting farmed in the fountain, it's time to call it.
Yeah, just too nice of a game.
You will make a
Infinity.
nice
And of course, last pick Morphling, this is where the series might change a little bit once Wildcard have that better drafting position, but it just worked. It was just easy for him. And I think that's where maybe there wasn't enough of a discussion in the mid lane and how Idantic needed one of his supports to put pressure on the Leo style before he got level 6. Infinity just took winning lanes and then drew them out until they got what they wanted. And so pleased that this mid tiny actually panned out. Just very simple. Got maybe one double kill bottom, good rotations, extremely clean, 12.5-minute blink dagger. I mean, Leo style was just jacked. All of the cores on Infinity were just massive. I mean, Ian looking over at the score, even looking at Genic, he's got 10 kills. He's 10, 3, and 21. He was absolutely everywhere, while at the same time giving Frank a 1v2 situation that he was also winning. They were just winning the net worth battle everywhere. There was just no front in which Wildcard were able to bounce back. And then you would hope that their team fight's strong enough that they're able to stop the bleeding, get their tomes at level, get their level 6s, and make a move or two at level 10. But it just never really comes. And I think really the biggest choice in this game was Xantic deciding to go for the Deso first, and then really putting everybody else kind of on the back burner, as well as I think he could have farmed just as much as Leo style. But in trying to make those rotations happen before the Tiny was ready and then whiffing, it just snowballed the game out of their control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they had the personnel. If you could have gotten the Blink instead, you still have a Hoodwink, you still have a Jakiro, plays could have been made, but with the decision that they make, they just don't have an initiator at the exact moment where Infinity are pushing directly into you. So, unfortunate stuff for Wildcard, but that is still just the first game. It's a tough loss, but we'll see if they can bounce back. We'll see if they can make some adjustments, because obviously some adjustments need to be made.
No, definitely. And then fingers crossed they don't get so many of their great heroes. But for Wildcard, what do you even ban at this point? Because that was first phase Tiny, and they made it work. That's something no team has shown us just yet.
Yeah, they're going to have their work cut out for them. So we'll see how they approach this. Game 2 going to be coming up in just about 10 minutes here. So stick around, and we will be right back.